can't look at my notes.
Okay, no.
You can if you want.
No, it's okay. You ever listen to Theo Vaughn's podcast? I think he's kind of funny. I don't know.
He's kind of funny sometimes.
Kind of funny sometimes. He's a guy that you...
I don't know. Hey, this is DAAC. This is the first time we're doing this. Live stream, Ruix podcast, sort of, kind of back. It's been 8 years, and, we're going to try it again, this new format. It's good to be back. I don't know what else to say. I'm just going to introduce my guest here. I'm John Eagle, by the way, and I'm going to host this extravaganza. And I'm going to talk to this gentleman to my right. This is Addison Aronson. He is just a member of the music and arts community. We're going to get to exactly who he is in the community in just a moment. And, he is a graduate, graduate of the first class of the very first DAAC Music Mentorship Program, Project 1. And I'm happy to have him to talk to, Addison Aronson. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? You failed to mention, too, that I'm also a middle school graduate, which is surprising to some people.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was a point of pride for you.
I don't know. Probably Raptor,
Yeah, listen. Well, okay, Addison Aronson, middle school graduate, and no further schooling. He really wanted me to launch that home. So tell me, buddy, I have been not living here for the past 8 years or something. I've been living in Colorado, and I'm back. Every time I came back, I'd always see you smiling and having, drinks with the friends and playing in some sort of iteration of a band. Let's start with how you, got started playing music.
For sure, man. Well, first of all, thanks, John, and welcome back. We're all glad to have you back,
Appreciate that.
So who am I? Well, my name is Addison. Like John said, like what you said, I was a graduate of the first DAAC Music Mentorship Program, Project 1. That's not where I actually started. Obviously, you have to, have some interest or knowledge of music before that. But I guess, music has always been sort of, around me, and that's, kind of a common thing to hear. But, I mean, I didn't come from, a family where, everybody played. I grew up, most of my life with a single mom, and I'm an only child. So, my mom always had, some pretty decent music, playing. And then if, we were...
Such as?
Oh, gosh. Well, she was really into, she's really into... Emmylou Harris, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. She's super into Iris DeMent. But then later on, I started kind of adhering to more of her the music that she liked to listen to when she was my age, which was The Replacements, Big Star, just bands like that. And then so that finally kind of lashed its teeth in probably early on or later on in high school, early in college. But I don't know. I kind of started playing. I started playing music in 4th grade with cello, and then I don't know, cellos are expensive, and I never practiced, but I was always there's this story when you're a kid and you finally first try out your first instrument, and there's people there in these little stations with different instruments, and I tried out the brass stuff and woodwind stuff, and I was just this kind of sucks. Well, at least for me. But then I started playing the cello, and this lady that was, helping out with, just, these kids taking stabs at instruments. She was just oh, you were born to play the strings, which is, I don't know. Then I kind of, a 4th grader was just oh, yeah, I definitely am. But then, I don't know. Then I kind of just forgot about it, maybe a year or so later. I was always pretty decent at it. I just wouldn't practice.
Yeah.
And because it's an expensive instrument to play, my mom was just all right, well, we're not going to keep throwing all this money at this thing you're not even going to use outside of practice there. So I asked for a guitar for Christmas in 5th, 6th grade, and it's actually
Sixth grade for you was like what, 2019?
So that was 2 years before I graduated middle school.
Okay.
So that was, I don't know, yeah, that was probably for me, that would have been like 2009, 2010 is when I got my first guitar.
Okay.
But then I took like maybe a couple months of lessons through Uncle Ike's Music, which is actually one of the places that I work.
Get a shot of that. Show your titty off for a minute.
There we go.
There you go.
Nice tit shot there.
Uncle Ike's.
Uncle Ike's Music. But yeah, so I actually I took lessons briefly through there, then sort of dropped it because I don't know, like the instructor at the time just wasn't. I don't know, we weren't really clicking. So then I moved on to, I don't know, I think it was like around freshman year in high school, I started like really latching on to blues music, and then really like focusing in on learning guitar from my Uncle Chuck. And he passed away in 2021 now, which is kind of crazy to believe. But yeah, like then through that, you know, he's probably my top inspiration for songwriting. But then yeah, after that, you know, he taught me my first guitar scale, and besides that, I just fell in love with just doing whatever. You know, I would like, you know, watch TV and learn, you know, the key of a theme song for like, I don't know, like Enterprise Rent-A-Car or something, and kind of like fiddle around with like, you know, a little riff on the just whatever commercials I could. And then yeah, from there I sort of, you know, started learning a decent amount, but you know, kind of just enough to get by. And then I was in high school during art class, and then a couple of my teachers, including one that is in your family, approached me and said, "Hey, there's this music program that they're starting up through the Arts Collective," you know, and I didn't know what. Like, okay, sounds like band camp. It sounds kind of stupid. But then, you know, I showed up and...
Rude.
Well, you know, after a couple weeks, I was like, oh, okay, you know, these people are pretty cool. I never thought that I was cool, by the way. I still, you know, I'm just like, either. Well, good, okay, well, I'm glad we're on the same page. It was Elizabeth Eagle and Brad Fouch that were the two people who, like, pretty much approached me, like, right out of the gate, and were just like, hey, you should do this. And I'm just like, you know, I don't know, like, pretty much first couple of years in high school, I just like really didn't talk to a ton of people. You know, I was like, I don't know, kind of like one of those kids where like I would have friends in like the different cliques, but like I never really had like that like group of like just like, really tight buddies where we would just like do everything together, you know.
Right.
But then yeah, like after I was just like, sure, yeah, I'll, you know, take a stab at it. And my mom said that I should too, and she was the one to drive me, you know. So yeah, then I started going down. I think it was like every Tuesday or every Wednesday or something, but
sounds right.
Yeah, well, there's only 7 days of the week, so
let me pick up where that leaves off. The mentoring program that he's talking about is actually something we're bringing back. But for those who aren't familiar with it, it was a program we did in, I believe, 2015, and then we did it a couple times in subsequent years. But that was the first one, and I would say arguably the most successful one, and it had Addison and a bunch of people who are hopefully going to be, you know, future guests on the show. So I'm not going to, you know, name drop a bunch of them now, but probably the most amount of turned out to be, you know, successful local musicians from that class. Which, you know, not to pat myself on the back, but I was one of the mentors in that thing.
Yeah, you're pretty great. You were my first drummer, actually.
Yeah,
which is kind of wild. Yeah, that was cool.
So, yeah, and the band was the Dickey Rockets or something
the Dickey Birds.
Dickey Birds. That's
the Dickey Birds. That actually, that name sort of like came out of, like, I don't know, Bob Bucko always kind of like joked with me about it and like kind of made fun of it. But it's actually got kind of like a sappy story behind it. So like the other guy that I was playing with, Isaiah, he was from Dickeyville. Mm-hmm. But then shortly after I actually started the music program, one of my uncles, my Uncle Dick, had passed away. And he, like my great grandmother, who I was very close with, you know, his mother, would always, you know, thought that he just like had this just beautiful singing voice. And so then she would call him Dickey Bird. And then so, you know, when we were trying to start coming up with names, I'm like, well, it just kind of makes sense. You're from Dickeyville, and, you know, my uncle just passed, and that's what we called him. So, like, kind of have to. You know?
I like it. I like it. Actually, isn't it? It's like a British witticism for like a something small, I thought.
Yeah, like a small, like I don't know, like a kiwi bird or something like that. Just like sort of, yeah. something. Well, I am small too, so that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works even better on another level.
Oh yeah. So, how have you, I guess, taken what your experience was in that first mentoring group and like sort of, turned it into what you are today as a, working, musician in Dubuque?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's this. I've told this story to a couple people, but like I remember, like I said, the first couple years in high school, I was kind of just like pretty standoffish with social stuff. But then like at one point, I don't know. Like I was just like it was the first thing that I had like kind of done besides like sports early on. That was like an extracurricular, but it was like the first thing that was completely offset from school.
Right.
And so then, like I was, the first couple weeks I was feeling like, really nervous and, just like really introverted about everything. And then,
That's crazy because you were like the most sociable person I know, maybe.
You think so?
Well, one of them. I mean, everybody knows you. Everybody loves you, as far as I can tell, except, me. But I'm just kidding.
I'm glad somebody's at least being honest.
No, but no, it's serious. Like, that's crazy.
I appreciate
that's crazy
that, man.
to learn
Seriously.
That about you.
No, yeah, I mean, like, seriously, I don't know. Like, I was always, like, in elementary school, I was, like, the class clown. And then, like, I don't know, I think, like, at some point in middle school, I just kind of, like, went into my shell and was just like, who the hell am I? Oh, my God. Who am I to, try to,
Class clown I could see.
Yeah. I got in trouble a couple times. And I had the red card pulled a few times, like, kindergarten, first grade.
What's the red card?
It's basically like the kindergarten equivalent of a felony. They call your mom and
Okay.
Maybe a psychiatrist.
Times,
yeah.
But I don't know if they still do that.
But no, oh shoot, yeah. Like so, I don't know. I remember just like at one point I sort of realized like this is like something that is completely separate that I can focus on. That's not school or social related in that way. And so I just remember, like, there were a couple people sitting on this couch in the old DAC space next to me. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to, like, change my body language and just sort of, like, open up my arms and just lay back and pretend that I was relaxed. And then, like, after that, I was just like, oh, no way. It's like the world didn't explode. That's crazy, So then, after that, I kind of, started growing out of my shell a little bit and realizing, I can just kind of be myself, And then, and there are always other, things that go along with that. But that was, the main thing that I kind of attributed to is just like that simple little fake relaxation thing. But yeah, I don't know. I just I found that, that program was very successful for myself personally, just because, not only, that, but like, I don't know. I like I said, I knew like a scale or two. I was really into blues music, which is, kind of like, I mean, like, I don't know. I was listening to like Bessie Smith and Blind Willie Johnson when I was like a sophomore in high school, and so I was just like, right. I felt that was another reason I kind of felt like, off center from where I should have been. And,
sure.
So I was just really focused on the, trying to play blues stuff. I don't know, I was really into Led Zeppelin too, so like, then I'm just like, well, who did they take inspiration from? Okay, so this is who inspired them, so who did they take inspiration from? Kind of just like following this timeline of, recorded, sonic history in this country. But anyway, but yeah, I don't know, like after, the whole project became, what it was essentially, and, I got to meet, you guys, which, I consider you all friends too, which is really cool, and I'm really grateful. It's so weird because it's like very always full circle with you guys, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, like and literally like you're because we're like I mentioned before, we're going to be doing this thing again, and you're going to be a mentor.
Yeah.
So from mentee to mentor, which is kind of cool. Yeah,
well, it's like, I don't know, I've always, had this like very, I don't know, it's like you should, give back what you receive, and you should put out, just to put out. And then, usually it rubber bands back to you,
Yeah.
So it's like I saw it sort of like as a no-brainer. It's like, well, yeah, duh. Like I pretty much it's just like in my, like that's just what I have to do,
Yeah.
And it's, an honor for me too, because it's just like, geez, it's like you guys were in your 30s when that project was really happening. Well, some of us, some of y'all.
30s, 40s,
Yeah, but I mean, like, for me to be just, like, pretty much, like, I mean, I only graduated, college in 22, so it's, like, I don't know. I was just in high school recently, you know, like all things considered. So it's very.
Yeah, brag about it.
Yeah, it's a very fun thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I failed to mention. I didn't finish high school. You know, I did a couple classes like art.
Okay.
No, I did finish. Yeah. I graduated from Loris, also, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. As far as like how that, you know, sort of led me to other things, like essentially like immediately after that, my mom was down at this bar on Central called the Blue Room, and you know, she was talking to, I don't know, I think somebody from like the Mississippi band that she used to hang out with, like Denny Garcia or something. And then she's like, oh yeah, you know, my son, he's playing guitar, and you know, and he's like, oh, you know, you should bring him down and you know, see what it's all about. And so then I'm just like, and then it took me a couple weeks of convincing, but then, you know, they had this open mic that was every Wednesday that I would go to, and then like pretty much religiously, after I did it like a couple times, I would religiously just go down every single week for like, God, like 3 or 4 years straight. And, you know, so I was pretty much, you know, just throwing myself to the wolves every week with just like playing with these people who've been doing this for like, you know, 50 years and sounding bad 90% of the time and hitting something that sounds okay like 10% of the time. But like every single time I did it, it was like I was learning how to play with other people, you know, people that know way different stuff than I do. It was teaching me, you know, dynamics. It was, you know, it was just like I was forcing myself, sort of like, you know, forcing myself to be relaxed on the couch. I would force myself to be more relaxed as a guitar player. Yeah, and then like, you know, around, I'd say like 2018, then like I started, you know, working at the music store. And then, you know, working there, it's like you're exposed to like every new piece of gear that comes in, every old piece of gear that comes in. So it's like, you know, I was able to teach myself like, you know, bass, a little bit of drums, you know, banjo, mandolin, you know, I was able to, you know, just like, it really just like kind of like blew my mind sort of, you know what I mean?
Dude,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And so talk about, so that open jam at the Blue Room, which is now defunct, I think, or, you know, not really the same thing anymore, has sort of evolved into the open mic jam thing here at Smokestack, which is where we're filming right now, in case anybody didn't know that. Which you sort of host now, right?
I'm like, not really. So our buddy Chad hosts it. I'll usually like step in if he needs me to step in.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll come down here and there. Usually anymore, like now that, you know, I've got a band of my own, and you know, I'm, you know, trying to do, you know, solo stuff as well. I kind of, you know, I've also like this past year started like really realizing like, hey, I can just like, it's okay to not do anything all the time, you know. So like, I don't know, got a couple cats now that, you know, I like to just come home and just,
Cats are great.
You know, have some wine and sit there and hang out
Wine
and play
and
guitar.
cats.
Yeah,
That
you
sounds
know?
awesome.
Yeah, it's the bachelor's paradise, man. But yeah, so I'll come down here, you know, here and there. I probably will be, you know, a little more frequent here coming up, just because, I don't know, sometimes it's just fun to, you know, I mean, you come to any one of these jams in this town, and if you know people, and it's like you already know like half the people here, so it's like,
Sure, yeah, that's
you know,
true.
might
It's
as
fun.
well make a little night of it. You know?
Yeah. Play some Neil Young and Stone songs and
Maybe, yeah.
F around and, you know, drink beer.
Yeah.
But you do, I guess maybe what I was thinking of was the all ages open mic, which is once a month, right?
Oh yeah, the all ages open mic. Yeah. So yeah, I should have known. Yeah, so the all ages open mic is sort of like this. Yeah, like once a month open mic that starts like, I think it's like the first Sunday of the month, and it's specifically designed to, you know, it's just that, you know, anybody of any age can come and hang out. And there's also like a sketch aspect as well, so like people can bring their, you know, colored pencils or their pens and like a sketchbook and, you know, sort of just like, you know, draw with their kids or draw with their family members, which is like, you know, I don't know, like it's pretty cool because it's just like, you know, you see these, you know, usually like these moms with like their really little kids who just want to kind of doodle, and it's like, I don't know, it's pretty cute in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But yeah, like, so but you know, we've actually been having like, here we've been doing it, gosh, I want to say like maybe half a year now, consistently, and we've started to actually get like a decent amount of, you know, kids in high school, middle school that have been coming down like pretty consistently, and you know, like, which is really cool to see especially because you know, they're going to be part of this new, you know, music program that, you know, that was how they were able to be connected with this new music program coming up.
Right. Hell yeah.
Was through this event that I host. which is just, really cool because it's like, some of these kids, it's like, I don't know, I forget who was saying it, but like I was thinking in my own head where I'm just like, dang, like that's like literally just where I was like a minute ago, and then, they're just like, well, this really reminds me of, watching you jam when you were, starting out, and I'm just like, yeah, you're telling me, dude, it just happened. Like I know, I see that, but it's like, it is really cool to see because it's like, dang, some of these kids are just like, man, I thought there was like, pretty much the same amount of information about guitar playing and, music, available when I was in high school, but it's like, dang, some of these kids are like really good. Like really good.
That's great to hear.
Yeah. It's impressive.
Yeah. So that is first Sunday.
First Sunday of the month.
What, like
4 to 8? It's like about 4 to 7, maybe 4 to 8, depending on if anybody else wants to.
Keep that in mind. If you ever want to bring your musically curious or artistically curious, this does double as the space for the DAAC as well. Child or, adult even, it's all ages.
Or adult child.
Or adult child, which we are both a couple of. First Sunday of the month down here at Smokestack. 4 to 7. You just told me, and I forgot.
4 to 7.
All right.
4 to 7, 4 to 8.
4 to 7.
Usually 4 to 7.
What else? Anything else you want to talk about? I got like the major things out of the way.
Well, those are all the major things.
Well, don't look at my notes. I feel like you're cheating.
I am cheating. Yeah, that's why I didn't. That's why I barely got through middle school.
You mentioned, people coming down here and having their kids draw and doodle and everything. Mm-hmm. Are you involved in anything else? Non-musically, but still artistically in anything?
Yeah, I mean, so starting like maybe college, I started in a couple, I was involved in like a couple movies. I had a music video done, but that's music related. But other than that, I was still, involved in a couple of, a buddy I went to college with, a couple of films that he was a part of. Mm-hmm. So, like a little bit of acting. I'm also into sculpture work. Which I don't usually mention to a lot of people.
I'm glad you mentioned it here first.
Yeah.
Sculptor.
Yes.
Musician. Guitar player. Smartass.
Addison. There we go. Trifecta of being an asshole. But yeah, so, that's a thing. Usually anymore with sculpture too. It's like, I didn't. Mostly found materials just because it's like, I don't know, like I've got student debt, so it's like I can't afford big sacks of clay or anything like that. But, it is cool to, sort of like work with things that you find and try to make it into something really cool. But yeah, that, drawing here and there. I'm really into poetry. I mean, I've got like shelves and shelves of, old poetry at my house. Mine and mostly other people's, most of mine's just in a binder or something, but,
sure.
There's that. But honestly, most of my artistic, creativity sort of I throw into songwriting. And it doesn't even have to be like anything that I care to even play to anybody, It's
right.
like, just whatever. But it's just sort of like, that's sort of like the way that I am able to almost like express an idea, the best I can. But yeah, that or poetry. Usually lyrics for me are the number one thing, and then the sort of the music comes after that. Mm-hmm. But it's not always like that, but it is kind of the way it goes like most of the time.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Since now I know you are a poet.
Oh, God.
How come, or not how come, that's not how I want to start this.
Okay.
Do you ever read your poetry aloud in public? And the reason I ask you this is because, as you know, I also host an event here once a month called Readings Under the Influence, last Tuesday of the month. And I don't think that you've ever read for anything like that.
Am I supposed to ask to do it?
No.
Oh.
I just didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know either. So honestly, I didn't know what the process was.
On camera, I'm going to make
you
maybe
God.
Commit to
really?
it.
Okay. All right, you got a deal, man. Right, cool.
Yeah.
No, it's usually the same answer I give for like asking me if I've ever done karaoke. Like I have, but I try to steer away from it. It's like I can play, music. With my band, we played to rooms of like hundreds of people already, for events and shows, and like I don't know, for one reason or another, like I feel completely fine doing that. But then it's like getting up here on a stage and having everybody just really really interested in you, I'm just like, oh my God, you know, it just like freaks me out.
No, I get it. Yeah.
But I mean,
different.
it's probably something you get used to.
Well, if you have an
sure.
instrument with you, or if you're behind the
Sort of like a
drums or
little
something,
shield,
we
you
talked
know?
about this the
Yeah,
other night. We did a dry run of this, sort of. We cheated. But we talked about this the other night, where you said that you kind of feel a little bit more, I guess, naked when you don't have an instrument, or you're trying to do karaoke, which I think we should come back to, because God damn it, like
Rainbow Lounge,
you'd be good at
DBQ.
it. You'd be good at it. And you know, it's fun. Once you do it once,
I'm sure you kind of
wanna
get
do
used to it. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. I kind of assume, but it's just like one of those things where it's like you just have to make like your first step, dip your toe in the water just a little bit, and then you can just plunge. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna love it. Talk more about the film work that you've done. 'Cause I didn't know that about that either, and I have a little bit of a history in that too. I graduated from film
I
school a
did
couple
hear
years
that.
ago.
Yeah, good for you. That's pretty cool. Well, hold on. Before I get to that, I want to hear you talk about you graduating from film school first.
Well,
Because I am genuinely interested. Like, how was that? Where was that? How was that?
okay, it was in at the University of Colorado, Denver. I graduated in 2021. I did a thesis film and a thesis documentary film that I screened at Monk's that summer. Monk's in Dubuque, sort of coffee shop, bar place downtown.
That's cool.
Most people watching this probably know what it is. And yeah, I mean, I have a lot of a little bit of experience under my belt, but Jesus, you know, like I haven't done shit with it since I graduated, and you know, I'm always
Some of the equipment is just like, you know, I feel like that's kind of like a buffer too, is like having access to like that kind of equipment to like, you know, do what you want to do. Because I'm sure you have like, you know, ideas and visions about doing certain things, but it's like, oh man, but first I have to spend $10,000 on all that gear.
That's the thing, and that's why it's like it's nice to have somebody that you can call on the ready to crew for you that has their own equipment, you know, even if it's outdated or whatever. But like, and I feel like, you know, I know a few people in town, and now I know that you have experience with it, and I'd like to get back into it at some point. But I don't like to touch the equipment. That's not really my part of it.
Sure.
You know, like
no, I'm the same. Yeah. From what at least the minimal work that I've helped out with, it's like I'm usually more on like the cast end of different things. But yeah, my buddy Nate, he you know, he's probably one of the more driven individuals I've ever met in my life. You know, love that dude. I met him my freshman year. He was on the same dorm floor as me. And actually, kind of circling back to music a little bit, so the reason why we even started, you know, kind of talking was, you know, he walked by my room and saw that I had a guitar in there, you know, and he's into music, and he's just like, oh man, you should come down and play, you know, in our room. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And then, you know, maybe like, you know, freshmen in college, you know, they tend to overindulge quite a bit. And so, like, you know, after a few, I was just like, oh, sure, I'll go down there and, you know, and play a little bit. So then, you know, we kind of just like, you know, formed this, you know, cool friendship. And, you know, later on in his college career, he actually helped me do this music video for, he asked me to do one of my songs, but it was actually the year before my Uncle Chuck, who I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, the year before he passed away, actually, like during COVID, is when we did this music video, and instead of one of my songs, I wanted to do one for one of my Uncle Chuck's songs, just because like he was just the type of person that like his every single word meant something on paper. Gotcha. You know, every single word in a song, like saying like the man and duh man. That's like two completely different vibes. That's two, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, like, you know, I don't know, and because he was, you know, just because my Uncle Chuck meant so much to me, you know, he was like an uncle, big brother, best friend, grandfather, all rolled into sort of like one person. I'm just like, well, like, what am I doing? No, like, he's got plenty of songs that he also, like, never wanted to do anything with his songs besides just have them for himself, because it's like he didn't view it as something that he needed to get out to people. It was just like he just wanted to contribute in his own way to the art form just for himself, you know. Okay. So I'm just like, well, of course, you know, we have to do something. And then, you know, so I took one of his songs, Heaven's Ranch, and I'm just like, I played it for Nate, and he was just like, oh my God, you know, we have to do that. And then, So we went over to Council Hill Station, which is, I don't know if the viewers know where that is, but, it's like right outside Galena there, and it's a really cool piece of property. So we did the filming of that out there, and my buddy Kyron helped me do the sound for it and like record it. And then we showed it. Well, then I sent it to, after it was like all completed, I sent it over to my aunt Kathy, and I'm just like, hey, this is the deal. I didn't tell them about it or anything. I'm just like, hey, this is the deal. Don't tell them about this. Just put it on, like, airplay it onto the TV. Don't tell him. Just send him down and have him watch it. And then he watches it. And just like, of course, it's just like this insanely, emotional experience. But then, besides. So that was pretty much the first thing, because with the whole video there was like a few different actors as a part of it, and then there was one that we did a couple years back. It was sort of like this prohibition drama, where I played henchman number 3, which was pretty cool.
So this is acting.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this was like I had lines and everything besides music. Yeah.
Prohibition what?
It was like this story of it was called The Way It Was, and it was sort of like. This guy in this town, like he owns this town because he's like the main bootlegger, and he's got like all this money over everybody else, and he wasn't gonna let anybody else undermine his like cut away at his profit margin sort of, and so there was just like this sort of like this battle with like this family that was in the town that wanted to see this guy just like topple down, and he was just like, who does he think he is, sort of deal. I don't know, but it was like all bootlegging prohibition type stuff. So we even had like a couple like old Model Ts that people decided to like voluntarily bring down to help with the film, and just like have. So there were like actual really? So there were like period cars in the movie, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
And that whole
like
it was like about an hour long.
Oh wow.
Okay. So I mean it was decent. I mean, and I'm sure that they had way more footage than that hour, of course, but.
Is there a way anybody can watch it?
I believe that you can see it on Vimeo under Nate Kaiser's channel. Besides that, maybe if you looked up the Loris College Media Studies program, that could be there too. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
I think Vimeo for sure, though. Vimeo.
Nate Kaiser.
Yeah.
All right, I don't have anything else. You want to just bullshit about...
Sure.
Talk about...
The
other day we were talking about how...
Vape on here.
What's that?
Am I allowed to vape on here or no? No.
I don't care.
Oh,
as
okay.
long as it's not...
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, what was I going to say?
You're just like, well,
we were talking about sitcoms the other day, and Full House specifically.
Oh yeah.
And Family Matters, and
yeah.
I want to get into that.
You actually wanted to talk about this
Yeah,
again.
why not?
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that a lot of the viewers know your Dave Coulier story, but
a lot of the viewers, who knows?
I don't know. Do you want to say?
There might be 0 viewers.
Well, I mean, sure. Well,
but yes, I do have a Dave Coulier story. One time I met Dave.
He played
Coulier. Uncle Joey.
Uncle Joey.
Yes, Dave Coulier.
Not Jesse.
Famous for being Uncle Joey in Full House, and the host, one of the co-hosts of America's Funniest People, and allegedly being the guy that Alanis Morissette went down on in a theater, according to You Ought to Know.
Whoa.
But we don't know if that's true. It's just about somebody. Anyway, that's not the point of the story. I do have a Dave Coulier story. About 20 years ago, I met the man in an elevator, and he was playing at a comedy club called Penguins in Cedar Rapids. I don't think it's there anymore. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I got into the elevator, and it was just me and him and like a small entourage, like maybe 3 other people, maybe 4. And so I got on, and I look, I kind of like double take a little bit. And what I said to him was, "Hey, you're Dave Coulier." I swear to God, that's what I said to him.
Really?
And he said to me, and Dave Coulier, if you're watching, and you remember this, I doubt you'll remember it, and I doubt you'll be watching, but what he said to me was, and remember I said, hey, you're Dave Coulier. I did not say, hey, you're the guy that does the jackalope voice. Hey, you're Uncle Joey. I didn't say anything like that. I said, hey, you're Dave Coulier. Because I love Full House, by the way.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, it's wholesome family fun, you know, from the 90s.
Anyways, and he said to me, yeah, fuck you. I don't need this shit.
Dude.
Without even really making eye contact with me. And just,
that's pretty
It made for like the most awkward elevator ride.
Oh, there were other people in the elevator.
Yeah.
I always thought it was just the two of you.
No.
Oh God,
even
that's
worse.
I don't know.
He had a little entourage with him, and it was me.
Introducing he just introduced all this aggression onto all these people who were just like trying to get to work or something.
That's the story.
Wow.
And it is probably, you know, my most famous story of, you know, like,
dang,
you know, meeting. That's the only celebrity I've ever met to this point, you know, unless you count, like, you know, Todd Barry. I met him once.
Oh,
I don't know. But Dave Coulier was kind of a big deal, you know, for a while there. And I was sort of crushed. And for years I talked about it. I talked about it like I was like, that guy is such a prick.
Did you not watch Full House for like a long time after that?
Probably. Honestly, probably. But eventually I bought the box set and I rewatched it many times. The box set that's shaped like the house in San Francisco.
That's pretty cool.
Which I have been to the house in San Francisco too. And wonderful. Anyways.
That's pretty sweet.
So.
Wow.
And now that, you know, it's like, it's literally like 20 years later.
Yeah.
25 years
later.
later.
Have you forgiven Dave Coulier yet?
I kind of have.
Cool.
I've given him the benefit of the doubt. I feel like he was probably just having a bad day. You know. But that got me talking about Full House and when we were talking the other day. And then you started, you know, like, I don't know why we're talking about TV, you know, like whatever.
Well, I don't know. Time. I think you were just interested to hear that I was like really into Family Matters.
Yes. Okay, so yes, that is exactly what it is, because I was like, TGIF, huge for me. Full House, Family Matters, Perfect Strangers, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Step by Step. I loved all those shows.
Yeah.
I still love all those shows. But then you were like, you know, I was really into Family Matters, and you brought it up.
Family Matters and The Munsters, dude, for the longest time. That was like, those were the two shows that I would usually, like I think I was bringing up to you before too. Like I would just get up. I don't know, for one reason or another, I've always had like really bad ADHD through like my whole life, and part of that is like, you know, growing up I would just wake up like super early, like 4 a.m, sometimes even earlier, just because I'm just like, all right, we're going, you know. And so I would just wake up and, you know, see whatever was on, like, you know, Nick at Night or whatever, and it was usually Family Matters was on in the middle of the night, so I watched that, and then I would turn on, like, I don't know, it was like probably TV Land or something like that.
Nick at
and
Night,
or maybe with the Munsters, it was some old school channel, but
Me
like
TV,
I just
maybe,
Me
something
TV,
like
that was actually it. Me TV, and
Great
so
channel,
I would just,
Me TV.
oh man, I would just like watch hours and hours of that show, man. Just like Herman Munster is just like so great. Fred Gwynn, dude, I love Fred Gwynn. Rest in peace. May he rest his soul.
Try saying that really fast.
Fred Gwynn rips. Fred Gwynn rips.
Fred Gwynn rips. Dude.
He does. .com.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Besides that, Jesus. I mean, there's just, I don't know. There's always so many TV shows. You know. We're also talking about that Rob Zombie movie that he came out with.
Rob Zombie did
I still haven't seen that.
A remake of The Munsters in a movie form. It's on Netflix. I recommend checking it out. It's very cool.
Nice.
I like Rob Zombie films, but
I have
people are usually one way or the other with his films, and I think they're all pretty good. But.
Are you down to hear a brief story of how my family/family friends are connected to the Field of Dreams movie?
Yes, I am.
Sure. Okay. Well, so essentially, so the opening scene of Field of Dreams, they're sort of like panning through this old house. So that wasn't that actual house that the movie set is on. They actually filmed that. It was on, oh gosh, I think it was like somewhere on like West 5th, or no, it was 3rd Street. They filmed, it was like an old like Victorian house on 3rd Street. They actually filmed that. Yeah,
was it in Dyersville?
Yeah. No. The opening scene wasn't there at the Dyersville house. It was like this one house that was in town, like on 3rd Street for the opening scene at least. And then, so you know. Long story short, that was like my mom's friend's childhood home. And so like, you know, for the longest, you know, for maybe like a a couple days, like there was just all this production equipment everywhere, and I think they closed the block down for like maybe those couple days, and yeah, like my mom's friend Chrissy, who we is still one of my mom's best friends, and we still love her to death, and she's just a great woman. But anyway, at this point, they're probably each like freshmen in high school or something like that when this movie was being shot. And so, since it's her childhood home, they're hanging around the set here and they're getting to meet people. And then Kevin Costner, of course, she got to meet Kevin Costner. But at this point she's like 14, but then he like started like kind of like hitting on her. And,
no way.
Yeah. He like actually started kind of hitting on her. And I don't know if he probably, I don't know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because like Dances with Wolves is like one of my favorite movies and that can never be ruined for me.
Amazing.
But like, so that happened, and then like, I don't know, then like later on in the night or something, he was just like, oh, where do you guys like to go and like party? Just like, what are some cool bars around here? Do you guys want to come hang out? And like, I think it was just, they were probably starstruck and didn't want to tell him because it's like, oh my gosh, this is like Kevin Costner. And they're just like, no, sorry, we don't know where to go, essentially. And then, yeah, I don't know. Besides that, another celebrity. I always live vicariously through just people I know that have met cool people. Like, my mom bartended at Pasta O'Shea's when that was a restaurant here in town. And this one time, Harrison Ford was so he has a pilot license, and he was flying a plane around here because, he's got a house in the Galena Territories. And so something went wrong with the plane where he had to, like, just do a landing at the Dubuque airport, and then he, wanted to come in for some food while his plane's getting worked on. So he goes to the restaurant my mom and my godmother work at. And so he just sits down, and then like, probably all of the employees were just like, oh my God, that's Harrison Ford, because it's like, dude, I mean, I would react the exact same way. It's Harrison Ford,
Yeah. The guy from Witness.
The guy from
Clear Present
Witness,
Danger,
gosh, yeah, not to mention,
nothing.
But then, yeah, like, so at first my mom was supposed to be the one who was serving him.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, I can't do it. Like, I just can't do it, And so then she pawns it off to my now godmother, Melissa. And so then Melissa ends up being the one who serves him and stuff like that. And, honestly, super, super nice dude from what they've told me. But the one celebrity encounter that I will say that I've had was so when ZZ Top came through town, that was super cool. They played with Government Mule at the Five Flags Center. It was like the first like big like Dubuque show that I was like, wow, I'm really proud that this show is happening in my town.
This is,
in
before
Government.
Dusty passed?
After. It was after.
Okay, yeah. So this most recent.
So it was the most recent time, yeah. And honestly, I was more stoked well, after this story, I was, was super stoked, at least music-wise, for Mule, because I've always wanted to see Government Mule, and they were just, oh my God, Warren Haynes is just phenomenal.
Amazing, yeah.
And, but the reason why we were able to go was, so, I wasn't working at the music store this day, but, I texted a couple, my buddies that work over there, and I'm, kind of just doing my sleuthing, because I'm just like, oh my God, ZZ Top's in town, whatever. And I'm doing my sleuthing, and like, in the past, Billy Gibbons has like went to local music stores when he's on tour and just kind of hung out and talked to people. And so I texted them like in the morning, like right after they opened, I'm just like, okay, you guys, let me know if Billy Gibbons comes in today. And they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And so, they were supposed to close at probably like 5 on this day. And it gets to be like 4:30, and they're just like, dude, Billy Gibbons is like here right now. And so I was jamming at a friend's house, and so I'm just like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And so I drop everything and I dart over there, get to talk to Billy Gibbons about gear, and like I'm just, I don't know, everybody's kind of like nervous to talk to him because it's like, I don't know, yeah, I get it, it's Billy Gibbons, but also it's like, I don't know, he comes to it, he's not trying to be incognito, he's dressed in his full Billy Gibbons costume.
He looks like Billy Gibbons.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's in a guitar store, so one of my buddies over there, Ben, he went and helped him with, looking at these little things, and it was the new bass player's birthday, and so he bought the new bass player a baritone guitar, which is kind of cool. But then Billy comes up to the counter, and he's just like, we're all kind of just like stationary, just like, oh my God, I'm just like, screw this. And so I'm just like, hey, so Billy, like, what guitar are you going to bring out for your first song? And he's like, he takes his glass off. He's like, oh, here, man, I'll show you. And he takes out his phone. He's doing like, this old man reading glasses thing where his glasses are down here. And he's just using his index finger trying to figure out what are the right photos, And so then he's like, oh, yeah, here. And so then it's like this chambered Telecaster that's like this like really bright like seafoam green color, which is just, it just looks super cool. And he was like seeming like really excited to talk about it because, you know, he's just like, oh yeah, it's got, you know, these types of pickups in it, and, you know, this guy that I know out in LA, he makes them for me and all this stuff. And I'm just like, you know, that's cool. And, you know, so then all of us start talking to him a little bit more, and then he signs a shirt for the store, you know, takes his picture with us and all that stuff. And so, you know, after that, you know, we close up the store, and then we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, my buddy Ben goes around to the other side of the counter after, you know, Billy buys all of his stuff from us and takes off.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, gosh. And then he pulls this thing off the counter, and Billy Gibbons had left his credit card behind. And it actually said Billy F. Gibbons on it. And so we were pretty stoked. And, of course, you know, right away we just had to call his tour manager and be like, hey, yeah, your dude left his card at our store, you know. But I don't know. Yeah, that was a pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a great story. And it doesn't get much cooler than those first. Well, Annie's Easy Top.
He's
record,
also
really.
he's also like
bands,
just
too,
as cool, if not cooler, than you think he is. Like he is exactly what he puts himself out to be.
I've seen them a number of times, and I'd never got to meet him.
Really cool dude. Really nice too.
I mean,
I think it's like if you know that you're that recognizable, and you're just like going out of your way to, you know, talk and get to like meet people who are probably fans of your music. It's just like that takes a lot of. You know,
absolutely.
That's cool.
Okay, so what are you doing now? Talk about your band now.
Yeah, Marzipan Mailbox is my band now. We've been together for.
Mark, you want to say that again? Marzipan Mailbox. How
Marzipan
did you get that
Mailbox.
Name, by the way, because I've been.
It was not my decision. Well, I gave one of the votes for the name, but the other two guys were chilling it. So I met those guys. So the drummer John, he used to do vinyl night over at the Fox Den Motel, and so, you know, I met him through that, and then he was like, oh, you got to meet my buddy Shannon, you know, he plays a little bit of music, you know, we used to be in a band back in our day, and, you know, they're like 10 years older than me, and so then, you know, we get to talk, and we're just like, oh, we should jam, you know, we jammed one time, and it was like one of those things where it's like we all just kind of fell into this pocket, like probably within like the first 30 seconds of us playing, and it was just, we were all, we're all into jam music. We're all into just all sorts of different types of music. But, yeah, the main reason why we got the band was, like, after that first jam, I think they were hanging out another day that week, and they, you know, had got done just getting completely baked, and they're just, like, they told their Alexa device, like, hey, Alexa, tell me the story of Hansel and Gretel. And then Alexa's just like, okay, you know, the Hansel and Gretel were walking through the forest, and all of a sudden they stumble upon this cabin or this cottage that's made of gingerbread with a marzipan mailbox out front. And then they both stopped and looked at each other, and they're like, what did that just say?
It's from
you know,
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, so
that
it's from Hansel
sense.
and Gretel, yeah. And, you know, nothing's more psychedelic than encountering a cottage made of candy in the middle of the woods, you know.
And how much of a bait and switch was that house? They get in there and then
dude, right? That's what I'm saying. Then they just shove the old broad in the oven. I mean, she's probably paid her property taxes, and, you know, she's had the thing paid off for what, centuries probably?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know.
And
but,
how did that? Here's what I want to know. How did that house not dissolve every time?
From like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know, it's just made of pure sugar.
Pure sugar, yeah. You know,
flour maybe.
Must be the spells, the incantations, maybe.
That's ignorant. Whoever. Wrote
that. It's, you know, they really didn't take the laws of, you know, physics into consideration, or chemistry. Sorry, physics and chemistry. Everything's physics, but. Yeah, I don't know. With Marzipan Mailbox, though, man, I mean, you know, I've had a lot of fun playing with those guys.
Would you call it a jam band, or would you call it more?
You know,
of a
at
rock
first, we were sort of doing a lot more jammy stuff, but like, personally, I've seen us more go towards, I don't know, I'd say like, you know, since I'm primarily, you know, like writing a lot of. At first, you know, I was writing the majority of, you know, the material. Now we're writing, you know, more collaboratively on like. You know, just like new instrumental pieces where, you know, later we go back and we sort of work on them more together. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would more consider us now to be sort of like avant-garde, like hard rock jam mix, sort of. Like we just like to experiment and extend songs out. It's sort of like I don't know, like a faster version of what Crazy Horse does, I would say.
Like it.
I mean, that's honestly the main. I mean, yeah. I mean, when we've talked about this too amongst ourselves, and it's pretty much like, like if the Grateful Dead and Crazy Horse decided to like have a baby that still has a lot to learn, you know. So that's, I don't know, that's pretty much, I guess, if that makes any sense, that's sort of how I would describe us now, just a more of like a harder, crunchier, I would just say rock band. Yeah.
Cool, right on. And do you have any other projects you're working in, or
I've decided
backing up anybody else?
Well, here and there I'll back people up. I've been itching to try to, I'm always writing, so like I've been itching more to try to maybe get a couple solo shows here and there, even like collaborating with more of my like, fellow songwriters, just because we have so many great songwriters in this town. But yeah, I don't know, like I've made it like a New Year's resolution to, I've been writing for so long, I need to record some stuff. I've got, literally hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
My Uncle Chuck's songs, my songs, just, so it's like, it's about time. So hopefully by the end of the year I'll have an album out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Solo album and
and then of course, I'm probably going to have just a bunch of people I know come and help me out, just because I don't want to just have it be, just me and a guitar and that's it. I'd want everybody that I know and love to be included in that, of course. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Marzipan Mailbox have any recording plans in the future? Or do you
We've been recording a lot of demos.
Cool.
We have a lot of we've got some stuff on Bandcamp. We have a lot of cassette tapes. So if you ever see Marzipan Mailbox out at a show and you want a cassette tape, or if you see one of us out and about and want a cassette tape, please let us know and we will get one to you.
Marzipan Mailbox. I'm going to say that again. Marzipan Mailbox. It's fun to say.
It is. It rolls off the tongue.
Okay, cool. So I just want to bring it back around before we wrap things up.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. I don't even know how much time we have. Probably unlimited, but I also feel like people might have had their fill of us.
No way.
So, actually, let me grab my phone for this because I have some stuff written down that I wanted to talk about. Once again, the mentorship is coming back, and this guy here, Addison Aronson, I said that right?
You said it right the second time.
Aronson is going to be a mentor this time around, and that starts February 5th. It's already, it's already set in stone. But this is something we're going to, try and keep doing at the DAAC, Dubuque Area Arts Collective, the channel you're watching right now. The program's going to be focused on arts and music, both, where they sort of combine in the middle and, culminate in a live show /
Yeah, which is something really cool because we haven't, because
right?
that was something that didn't happen before.
Right,
too.
exactly. That's a new part, that new aspect, which we're all excited about.
Very excited.
All ages open mic, first Sunday of the month.
Correct.
This guy hosts
4 to 7. 4 to 7.
Regular open mic too. There's a blues jam open mic here at the Smokestack as well, 6 to 12 on Thursdays. That's not all ages. This is a bar, after all. Relax. And then First Fridays. Don't forget First Fridays. We participate in the First Fridays every first Friday of the month. So come down, check out some cool art, and
Also, every time Readings Under the Influence is happening.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Readings Under the Influence is happening. I said last Tuesday of the month. This Tuesday is not this Tuesday, but this month is no exception. That will be, let me pull up my iCal and find out for you. Tuesday the 30th. So we'll have readers. The theme this time is Paradise Lost. And, we're going to have readers and a musical guest like usual. I believe confirmed. We have Maureen Kilgore and...
Maureen's great.
Yeah. Some games, prizes, trivia, drinks, what have you. It's a good time. So come down, Smokestack, in here in downtown Dubuque. I got to focus on not saying as much this time. I said so much
I hear
in
you.
the original
I hear you.
podcast. And
I think I've said quite a bit.
I got yelled at for it. But I don't think I said this much.
No,
this
I haven't
time,
really
that much.
caught on.
But
to
I'll
a
let
lot
you
of
kind of
the
run with it too. So
sure, yeah.
But anyway,
can I
thanks
give
for
it one more shout out quick? So I am
Yeah.
also something I just remembered. That was reminded to me by my friend named Jody. So actually, I'm going to be doing a songwriters showcase over the Galena Center for the Arts here. Early February, I think second week of February. They usually have like monthly songwriter showcases over there. So I believe the second week of February, over in Galena, I'll be over there for that songwriter showcase too. So,
Okay, what's that all about?
So I think usually they take like local or like area songwriters and just sort of like, there's usually either one or two, and they have them just sort of like just say like, hey, this is a person who writes songs in this area, and we should give them our undivided attention for a night. So yeah, that's usually over at the old bank building right before you get into Galena. It's like at the top of the hill. And it's a beautiful new. I haven't been there since last time I was in there. It was still under construction, and they had me help out with something over there. But yeah, I think the new building, from what I've been told, looks really, really beautiful, and that's where the Galena Center for the Arts is now. So if it's not super snowy and you guys can make it out, that'd be sick.
Hell yeah, that sounds fun. All right, buddy.
All right,
good talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. Thanks
Stay
for having me.
tuned. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. Stay tuned because we're gonna actually be playing some footage from this little mini doc from the Project One music program that we, like I said, the mentoring program that we're doing. So stay tuned, and thanks for checking it out. This is Ruix Podcast 2.0. I'm John Eagle. Later.
It's crazy that I feel this way, but I do it, I just hate it. This life is getting worse for me. I don't know if I can make it. I'm blaming it all on Kirby, making me feel like I'm not worthy for this love crap. Thinking of all the times that she hurt me.
When it's so hard for me. You ain't no punk, you punk. You wanna talk about the real talk? If I ever stand as a fan, 'cause I'm your television
So the idea was, if we can put feelers out and just create a space for kids to come together, that it would almost like assuredly like harbor some kind of creative spirit and give some of these kids a space to play in. SWRs have it, so that's kind of in a way that I don't think.
It's helped me get better, just jamming with a drum set, people that are actually want to jam and not just sit there and kind of do the same thing they've been working on, just what they want to do. It's like everybody together, so it's more fun. It makes you work as a musician, like collaborating with others.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that if the young people that were part of that program, myself included, and among with everyone else who took something really important from that program, it's just necessary. Like paying it forward to the next group, the next generation of local artists is like it's necessary. Like if you know, for me personally, I took so much away from that, not only in terms of my music, but just the way that I go about life every single day. So it's just like, yeah, I feel like I feel like I would be, and we would all be in a really good position to be able to, you know, help people have that same spark lit underneath them to be able to, you know, grow as we have grown and see where they are in however many years it's been since we were part of that. You know, like I can't, like, if the me then could see what I'm doing musically now, I would be like astounded. I wouldn't even believe it. You know, like it's just being able to be that one of those people to help those people along would be just incredible honor.
I was releasing music kind of on a regular basis, but like it definitely needed some shaping, you know, in a lot of areas. But I was asked if I wanted to be a part of this thing, and I don't know, it sounded great. I knew some friends of mine that were already going to be a part of it. I was like, why not, you know? So I got into it, and because I was like the only rapper, it was kind of weird for me, because everyone else was like a guitarist or a drummer or a singer, you know, and I felt so out of place. But like they really did a good job of making me feel like I was part of them, and I think I needed that, especially at that point in like my career or whatever you want to call it. I needed that sense of community, you know, and that really helped me keep going. It really pushed me, made me feel like I was heard, and that was the most important thing, I want to say.
Just in time to face the world. We're just in time to cover.
So I'm Eric Wold from Clark University. I'm an associate professor of graphic design and digital media studies, and I've been involved with the Dubuque Area Arts Collective for nearly 10 years. I think it's really important that this organization exists in our community, and that it provides a platform for a variety of artists, young and old, to share in their creative endeavors, as well as a place that offers more programming for up-and-coming artists that may not know about certain aspects of art or genres of art that are emerging in the contemporary context. The mentorship program that I was a part of really struck a chord with me because, one, it dealt with sustainability and environmental issues that young people could kind of dig into, not only from upcycling found materials and building art out of what normally people would consider waste, but also just supporting young people's concerns about socioeconomic and political things that are happening in our world, and giving them a space to work out those ideas. And then the economic part of it too is just being able to help those young people get supplies, provide them with a safe space that is also supportive of them making art. And oftentimes that doesn't happen outside of high school or wherever they're, practicing art as a young person, and maybe that's not necessarily something that's being supported at home. So that DAC gave those young people a place where they could express themselves comfortably.
It's in a child's eye, and in my mind I see we're all beautiful, but